It's extremely rare to find a rude or lazy employee in the private sector. That's because just one customer complaint could get somebody fired. But what if employees could complain about the customers? Well, at the South Daytona Beach Police Department, employees can do just that. Stacy Lopez is the record custodian, and the customer she complained about was James Madison from James Madison Audits. Now, what did he do that made her so mad? He simply pointed out that she's just dumb and that she could definitely do much better. Stacy Lopez believed that it would be easy to get James Madison back for exposing her to the world about how stupid she is. But what Stacy didn't count on was James Madison moving into her head rent-free. And that's when she decided to accuse James Madison of stalking and harassing her and her family. And then she did something really crazy. She thought it would make her look like a poor little victim and gain her a lot of sympathy if she filed an injunction with the court to make James Madison stop hurting her feelings by exposing her stupidity. During this injunction hearing, Stacy Lopez of the Daytona Beach Police Department made herself look stupid without any help from James Madison. She forgot that he has over 500,000 subscribers that would not appreciate her unyielding accusations that he was stalking her and harassing her only because he was a First Amendment auditor. The auditors shouldn't be allowed to treat her that way. She couldn't prove the elements of the crime required for the injunction. She used far too many cuss words, and the judge was disgusted with this. Her voice was whiny and she rambled. But when she kept saying that First Amendment auditors shouldn't be allowed to do that just because they're First Amendment auditors, that made me believe that maybe she just treats regular people even worse because they're not First Amendment auditors. I can't wait for you to see how stupid she makes herself look and her department and her family and just everybody who's involved with her. She's definitely going to have to quit that job now. Maybe James Madison can sue her for all the court costs that he had to pay for his lawyer and everything else.
So, Your Honor, my name is Stacy Lopez. I am requesting a permanent injunction for protection against stalking pursuant to Florida Statute 784.0485. I am a records supervisor, assistant to the chief at South Daytona Police Department, and a public service employee. The respondent, Mark Dickinson, is a self-identified First Amendment auditor who has repeatedly targeted me in a manner that has caused me substantial emotional distress and has put me in fear of my own safety and disrupting my ability to perform my essential job functions. While I fully respect and understand the rights granted under the First Amendment, the respondent's conduct goes far beyond lawful activity. This is not about simple recording or holding the government accountable. This is about a pattern of willful, malicious, and repeated harassment. It is attempting to protect behaviors under the guise of First Amendment auditor rights, all the while just harassing me as a public service employee. Especially when I don't do things the way Mark Dickinson wants them done. If I don't fulfill the request the way he thinks they should be completed, this behavior escalates to frustration and throwing fits or tantrums in an effort to force or intimidate me into fulfilling those requests. There have been several separate incidents where the respondent has come to my place of work, recording me without consent, following me around the facility, making inflammatory or degrading statements, and in some cases, posting these interactions online with captions or commentary intended to provoke public harassment. I have evidence that the respondent returned multiple times, even after I've requested to stop the video or not be recorded, and after law enforcement has been contacted. This behavior is not productive behavior for the valid purpose of First Amendment auditing. This has become personal attacks on me and other employees. Behaviors such as making statements that I know where you live and I know where your husband works, and standing outside the PD holding up signs that say, "Fuck Pignataro, the cover-up king," are not First Amendment auditor rights. They are personal attacks on public service employees. The conduct has served no legitimate purpose as defined in Florida Statute 784.048. The respondent is not engaged in journalism or civil discourse. He is using the label of First Amendment auditor as a shield for behavior that is clearly intended to intimidate and provoke. I have experienced anxiety, fear, and disruption to my work and personal life as a direct result of these interactions. In my view, this conduct fits the legal definition of stalking and harassment under Florida law. The repeated, targeted nature of the respondent's behavior toward me is not protected speech. It is a personal campaign of intimidation, not a public accountability effort. Your Honor, I am most fearful that if this injunction does not stay in place, the continued abuse and harassment will further escalate. We can clearly see how he behaves without the potential for an injunction being imposed. Could you imagine how he will behave if the injunction does not get put into place? especially because he has been served. There will be the immediate escalation of threats, intimidation, and defamation in an attempt to make him feel and look better as a result of the embarrassment he may be experiencing due to his own actions. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the court to grant the injunction and help restore a sense of safety and normalcy in my life, my family, and my workplace. I am seeking protection from my current and any future place of employment, protection from my husband's place of employment, and protection from my home and my children's school and extracurricular activities. Thank you.
My client is essentially an investigative journalist. He has a YouTube channel with approximately 400,000 subscribers. What he does and his goal and purpose is basically through usually obtaining public records and other sources. He will investigate matters of malfeasance related mainly to law enforcement or other governmental agencies. The context of this injunction is simply this. When Mr. Dickinson goes to South Daytona Police Department to engage in public record requests, Ms. Lopez has been the one who is responsible for basically creating, gathering those requests. As this has progressed over the years, what has happened is clearly there have been a number of personality conflicts between the two. Now, there are a lot of allegations that Ms. Lopez referenced regarding threatening behavior. We don't agree to any of that, obviously. We have witnesses, I think, that would contradict some of that testimony. However, the crux of this, again, is Mark Dickinson is going to the South Daytona Police Department to engage in a protected and legal duty, which is to obtain public records. He doesn't care if Ms. Lopez is there or not. He is simply going there to engage, again, in the role that he has permission to engage in. However, Ms. Lopez, I think you'll see through testimony, has often inserted herself into the process. As somebody who says they're unfair and needs an injunction and all these other things, we have videos because essentially everything Mr. Dickinson does is on video because it ultimately ends up as part of perhaps the YouTube channel and that audience. We have videos of her coming out, engaging with Mr. Dickinson, antagonizing him, her superiors saying, hey, Stacy, go ahead, go back. She persists. So what we really have here, Judge, is a person who is engaging in legitimate purposes, legitimate business. However, a personality conflict has been created between these two. There's no stalking here because there's a legitimate purpose in obtaining records. There were concerns about her family. I don't even think Mr. Dickinson knew where her husband worked until we looked over Ms. Lopez's agreement that she handed me in mornings. There's really been nothing about her family. Again, this is when he goes to South Daytona to conduct his business. If he was able to conduct that business with anybody but Ms. Lopez, we wouldn't be standing here. However, it seems nobody has wanted to put a plan in place that would facilitate that so that both sides can move on without the need of obviously being in court litigating like this. So it's our position, Judge, again, that there is a legitimate purpose. This isn't some campaign against Ms. Lopez where he's trying to argue with her, cause her grief, all these other things. She is in the role that is necessary for him when he conducts his business to get these records. And that's really what this is about. This is about, more hurt feelings, nastiness, things of that nature, but it's not some direct targeted attack. A lot of the emails in the petition, Judge, as I'm sure the court has reviewed, they're not even directed at Ms. Lopez. She's not even the recipient, which would be required, obviously, for stalking, and we get the legality of it later. But that's really what this is. Mr. Dickinson is trying to obtain public records. Her role is to provide him. There's been a breakdown in communication. As such, some pleasantries have been born out of that. But as far as stalking, Mr. Dickinson can go to the police department later today, and if she's not there, great. It doesn't change anything regarding what his intentions are and what the nature of his work is. These two don't get along, but not getting along or being uncivil to one another is not what stalking requires. So that's our position.
So the specific behaviors that we're referencing are emails that are directly sent to me. The emails, they are not only sent to me, they're sent to other people as well. And I did include those in, and you may have seen some of those emails. I'm not sure if you have. But some of the emails that were directly to me are the ones that tell me, I will get to those. I would like to say one other thing also. Yes, he did send an email in 2023 stating that he did no longer wish to deal with me. That is a fact. But he continued his behavior, even violating his own request to not have behavior, continued conversation and communication with me. I'm the records custodian. I'm the one that releases the records with the city or with the South Daytona Police Department. And so for him to request to not have any communication, but yet to continue to do so in the way that he did, violates his own request for.
Let me ask you this, is there anyone else at the police department that can respond specifically?
Yes, and we put that in place. So since I filed the injunction, that is correct. He sent an email saying that he needs to be able to communicate with somebody. No problem. It's exactly the same email that I've told him to send the emails to in the past, and he absolutely refused to. In fact, he told me, you don't get to tell me, you don't tell me where to send it, I send it. Pardon my language, and I'm sorry. But the emails that I get from him are ones that, tell me myself, they tell me,
You
and
can say that.
I'm sorry, I know, I just want to be as truthful as possible, because I'm not here to make or exaggerate anything that's not the truth. The truth is that this is the behavior that he's exhibited even in the last 2 years beyond the 2023 email that he sent. He continued that behavior to the very last incident, which is where he sent an email to the city clerk, the city mayor, the city manager, Volusia Exposed, regarding my personal credit issues. And here's the thing, sends a screenshot of the court cases, but doesn't send that they've been obviously dismissed. So it's clear that the intent here is to damage my character, harass me, cause great harm to me, because I could potentially get in trouble, lose my job. Even though I told my HR director what was happening, there's nothing in policy and procedure that says you can't have a bad credit card. It was a bad time in our life. They've been taken care of. They've been paid. He also asked for my previous employment, or asked for my memos where I've requested, or where I've requested for approval to seek outside employment. I have outside employment. How do you know that? How do you know I have outside employment? Because you've obviously done your research, and you're stalking and seeing what else can I try to get this person on? How else can I go after her real estate business? How else can I go after her consulting business? Whatever it may be, why are you asking for, when I used to teach every riddle, why are you asking for my proofs of employment for 23, 24, and 25? Clearly, those have been able to put me into a better financial situation and take care of those few little things. And I clearly explained to him, I didn't explain to him why those things took place, why those credit cards were the way that they were, and explained to him that my husband was injured in the use of force at his place of employment and couldn't get cleared to go return back. So guess what? I had to do what I had to do. It was my mortgage or my credit card. What are we paying here? So at what point does it stop? And at what point does it escalate? Where does this behavior end as a personal campaign and attack against me as a public service employee? I have never once denied Mark Dickinson a single record. So tell me, what was that point? What good purpose does that serve other than harassing? These are just so frivolous. He files a complaint against me with the city, a frivolous complaint, just so that it goes on record that he's filed a complaint against me. And it only stays for a year per Florida state statute because it was unfounded. And why was it unfounded, Your Honor? Because it's frivolous. So, anyways, that's what we
Any
are.
other evidence?
No.
A couple of questions here, I'll be brief. Ms. Lopez, you referenced the credit history stuff. Now, you would agree with me that those cases, those instances are all public record available on the clerk's site to basically anybody who wants to look
Yes.
you up and find that information, correct?
Yes.
And you said that was sent to your superiors, correct?
That was to city, to the mayor.
Right, to other public servants and other offices that are related to public service.
Other city officials.
And the tenor of that was, basically, Mr. Dickinson was saying, you're in a role that deals with finance and such, and he was concerned about problems with your personal finance. That was kind of the gist of why he did it, correct?
I don't know.
Okay. So you don't know his purpose?
Correct. I want to know what valid purpose, because you can say that that's what you're doing, but if that's the case, why do you not show the disposition of those cases?
Well, let me ask you this. You know, that is obviously a very important part of the context here to you, and you know, I understand that obviously, you know, we all have our, you know, dirty laundry or skeletons in the closet that we don't want out there, but it sounds like you went ahead and explained to Mr. Dickinson what caused these complications in the past and had a productive conversation with him regarding those specific, well, to at least get out there, hey, this is why this stuff happened.
And he didn't care. So here we are again, because he continued, he sent it, then after that, he sent it again to city officials.
Right, but-
So even after I explained myself, he again sent it back to the city officials, continuing to harass me about that situation.
Right, I understand that though, but what I'm suggesting is here, you know, you're asking the court for an injunction against stalking, yet you are having a conversation with him, telling him the details of this information that has you upset.
Harassment is under the stalking
Well,
injunction.
I understand that, Ms. Lopez, and I get that,
So-
but what I'm saying is,
Why are you only stalking him?
but you engaged with him and offered him examples of why those things exist in your history,
Yeah.
correct?
And he continues to stalk and harass.
I understand. Mr. Dickinson comes to South Daytona Police Department. You would agree with me that his purpose and his goal is to obtain public records, correct?
Yes, that is what he is requesting, our
So-
public records, and I've never denied a record request.
And you would agree with me, Ms. Lopez, that Mr. Dickinson has never shown up to the South Daytona Police Department, walked in and just, I'm just here, where's Stacy Lopez, and has you come out and just is there for no other purpose than just, I want to see Stacy Lopez and I want to, you know, engage in A, B, C, and D. It's always him showing up to get public records. That is your role. So when you come out to provide that duty, there is obviously headbutting between the two of you, which is clearly borne out of your testimony
This
this
is
morning.
far beyond headbutt.
Well, I get that, but
Okay, as long as
Mr.
you get that, then you understand why we're
Ms.
here.
Lopez, just let him ask the questions you
But-
answer, and then I'll ask if you have anything you want to add.
Okay.
As far as you being in this office, so when Mr. Dickinson walks into the South Daytona Police Department to obtain records, you're not even sitting there right at the front counter waiting to
Correct.
greet him, correct?
Correct.
In fact, your office is a couple of you know, sort of
No.
quadrants or however we want to.
One over.
Right, so, but he walks in, he doesn't even see Stacy Lopez when he walks in, right?
Correct.
Okay. And in fact, there are a number of instances where you have come out to deal with him, and
Because I'm the records custodian.
but when he is engaging in this behavior that you're alleging is stalking, you've had many instances where you've kind of given it right back to him. Oh, I'm going to record you too, or I'm
I
going
never
to.
said I was going to report you to. I said one day the auditor will get audited.
So there's never been a circumstance, Ms. Lopez, where Mr. Dickinson shows up to get records, you come out of your section of the office, and there's a back and forth between the two of you, even to the extent where you're told by a superior, Stacy, go back, we got this, let me deal with
You're
it.
talking about
And-
the same incident
Right.
from 2023.
And you even in that instance.
Because he
were-
had threatened me that day, and I called out to the sheriff's department, or I called the sergeant to file charges against him for harassing me because he threatened me, told me that, and I said, are you threatening me? And he said, yeah, I'm threatening you.
That's all on video though, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So again, I was gonna file charges that day, we ended up making just a CAD comment as a result. That's when Deputy Chief came in. I was telling the Deputy Chief what was happening, that Deputy Chief then told me to step away. That's what happened.
Right, and in fact.
Again, it's just behavior.
Right, but you didn't, the point of this is, Ms. Lopez, is you didn't step away, you continued to engage.
No,
with
I
Mr.
walked away.
Dickinson.
That was it. When the Deputy Chief, they walked outside.
Okay. And that is on video, right?
Yeah, they walked away. The Deputy Chief told me to walk away, or to leave it alone, or whatever, I don't remember exactly, and then he and the Deputy Chief, if I remember correctly, walked outside. That's the same day that he said, I don't want to have any more communication with you, whatever, and then still continue, because all the emails that I sent, when he's like.
Oh my God, she's so
whatever,
annoying.
all
Can
these-
I just clarify, what was the date of this interaction?
2023.
23 judges.
Or 27/2023. So the emails.
All right, hang on, Ms. Lopez, let's let him
Okay,
finish.
so Ms. Lopez, just though, you know, I understand, you know, the F this, the F, you know, all the cursing and the cuss words, but I mean, you would agree with me that while we don't like that is not illegal.
I would say that I say it is illegal under the guise of trying to be a First Amendment auditor and harassing a public service employee.
Wait, what does that mean? Trying to be a First Amendment auditor and trying to harass an employee. What is that? He's so dumb.
I'm a public service employee. You don't get to treat me like that any way that you want just because you are a First Amendment auditor.
And I'm sure other people, you've been there for many, many years, I'm sure you've had unpleasant streets exchanged with
Not like this.
But with other people. I mean, this happens, right?
No, I certainly have never.
No one else has ever
Not a single
cursed or
person.
cussed or anything like that
Not
in your
me.
entire career?
In the 9.5 years I've been with that South Daytona Police Department, never once have I had somebody speak to me, treat me, harass me, request records on me like Mark Dickinson, ever. In my entire, actually, you're right.
And you're still employed, obviously, with this agency, correct?
Yes, I am.
Your employment did not suffer in terms of, you were not fired or placed on any sort
Not
of
yet.
probation or anything like that, correct?
As of today, that is correct.
Judge, I'm ready for further questions at this time.
Okay. Is there anything you want to say based on the questions he asked?
I want to know, when does it stop? I want to know, when does it not become criminal?
Oh, here we
I
go
want to know
again.
why it is that this behavior is acceptable as a First Amendment auditor against a public service employee under this threat of intimidation and fear, and that you can behave however you want to because you're a First Amendment auditor. I don't deserve that. I'm a public service employee. I've had a master's degree in criminal justice and been doing this a long time. Not in my 32 years as a criminal justice employee have I dealt with this behavior, ever. He can say what he wants, he can interject, he can have some sort of defense, but no matter when the rubber meets the road, it's in writing, it's in emails, whether to me or to somebody else, that it's clear harassment.
Judge, I would, at this time, I move to dismiss this petition. The court's previous ruling, obviously, was to not grant it to have this hearing. I don't believe there's been any real change in circumstance here. In fact, I think what's been brought to light more than even being pled in the petition is the very nature of this interaction between these two people. Mark Dickinson goes to South Daytona Police Department with a legitimate specific purpose to obtain records, and then butts heads with this individual, and I just don't know who, if I could ask who the petitioner's talking to in terms of, we're kind of in the middle of testimony. So in any event, Judge, there's a bunch of case law that I know the court's aware of and I brought for all the parties that talks about, first, the legitimacy of the purpose. And again, he is conducting a legitimate legal purpose of obtaining public records. All of this conduct is at the police department, which is open to the public. That's one thing that a lot of these stalking cases look into as far as the locations and the locale. Again, a place open to the public. You've heard testimony, she's not even out front. She has oftentimes inserted herself into this situation, which again exacerbates this headbutting between the two. But Judge, at the end of the day, what this is really about is language she doesn't like, emails being sent to people about her. All of this is completely protected and legal. She just doesn't like it, and it's created bad feelings and hostility between the two parties. As far as the agreement is concerned that's been referenced, obviously, Judge, the whole tenor of it is, well, she doesn't want to deal with these hostilities with Mr. Dickinson. I get it. I mean, we're looking for an alternative avenue that's already actually been put in place by the police department. There's just no need for an injunction for that reason alone, but because there's no stalking here. This isn't a thing directed at Ms. Lopez. If she left the department tomorrow, he would go in, get his public records, not deal with her. None of this would.
Okay, pay attention. Here comes the verdict.
I appreciate your testimony. Based on the state of the law, I do not think the evidence is sufficient to support the injunction against stalking, so it will be dismissed.
Right.
All right, as I said before, I'm not condoning any language or tone or behavior. It's just, does this meet the legal definition or not? All right, so it is dismissed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, John.
There you go. Case dismissed. And Stacy, you made yourself look stupid. Trying to say he was stalking you. Ha! You lost.